Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Councilmember Clark, you look like you're somewhere fun.
I'm at a basketball tournament, so that's why I'm on mute. Good morning.
Okay. So it looks like we're just waiting on Councilmember Reed. Maybe that chair popping on.
So while you guys, I got you guys on. I spoke to Colin yesterday because I knew I was gonna be here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, when you're not breaking up.
Okay. And what he told me to do is because we'll be traveling, going to the motel in about 15 minutes from now. And if I lose service, I'm just gonna call Nora. I'm gonna call your phone. And then you just put me on speaker so I can hear the meeting. And that way we'll keep a good connection. And he said that was perfectly fine.
Okay, that sounds good. All right.
Okay.
So I believe we do have everybody on that needs to be on. It is 9:01 a.m. So I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Let us all start by observing a moment of silence. All right, and let us all recite the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, City Clerk Domingo, if you will take roll call, and everyone, please remember to state what city you are currently in.
Sitting we're this way. I saw window go this way.
Member Clark,
Here, Albion, Michigan.
Reed, Jackson,
Here, Albion, Michigan.
Waller,
Here, Albion, Michigan.
Lanu,
Here, Albion, Michigan.
Williamson,
Here, Albion, Michigan.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here, Albion, Michigan. All right, do you have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
We all good with that? All right, City Clerk Domingo, roll call on that, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
Lanu,
Yes.
Williamson, and Mayor Snyder.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry if you didn't hear it. Yes.
All right, so we don't have presentations. We don't have a public hearing. Do we have anybody on for public comment?
Yes, two. I'm going to bring in Garrett Brown first.
All right.
Hello?
Okay. We can hear you. You can go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, okay, okay. Garrett Brown, 1016 South State Street. Good morning, council. Just wanted to speak in support of this. I know that I've set in on some of the presentations that the Marshall School District has had and some of the meetings with advisory boards and the board to discuss options. You know, it's no secret that several years ago when the annexation went through, I was a very strong opponent of that. And I felt that the things that were presented were not, wouldn't lead to a high quality educational options for families and children in our community. And I think that the vision that President Johnson and the college are articulating really would provide that, and would provide the kinds of access to not only the college, but healthcare, recreation, the performing arts, and then ultimately actually just a new upgraded facility. You know, what's happened in our country in general, a lot of places, is infrastructure, not just roads and bridges, but school buildings. We're operating in facilities from the 50s. And so I think that this right now is what we need to do. And I would commend the council if they do take that stand for greater collaboration and with our partners here. So I hope that you all support that. And I think that it really, you know, one of the things that I would say at the end too is when people are deciding where to live and which communities to move into, they're looking at the quality of the schools, they're looking at job opportunities, they're looking at the culture and things to do in that city. And so I think that one of the things that hurt us when we were annexed is the fact that when people are looking, they're saying, well, there's no viable school, right? And so I think this kind of starts us down the path to be competitive in this region. So I hope that the council goes along with the vision that Dr. Johnson and the trustees and the college are articulating. And I guess the very last thing I'll say is, you know, historically, local people have been antsy when it comes to what the college is doing. But I think because of the leadership and the commitment to diversity and belonging that the current president is articulating, that makes me much more comfortable with saying that, because I think in the past there's been situations where it has not been an inclusive effort. So just wanted to say I support his vision, and I hope that you all do too. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. And who else do we have, Jesse?
Thomas Pitt is coming through.
All right. Tom, can you hear us?
Yep, are you there?
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna speak neither in support nor against the proposal, but I'd like to know what the reasoning is for the special meeting to approve this plan. What is the sense of urgency here? What created the sense of urgency to have something approved here at a special meeting at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning with an 18-hour notice? The letter from Dr. Johnson that was passed around is dated 4/21, which is 3 days ago. So something seems off that we have to have all of a sudden a special meeting called to approve this plan with only 3 days notice for any sort of public review, public input, if there is any. Then what is the significance of the approval? What exactly does it mean? Is it binding the city, committing the city to something? I don't understand what this approval actually means. Does it close the door to other options? I know that the other options are out there and will be coming to light in the near future. So why is there such a rush to approve something without knowing all the options? And I guess committing or binding the city to something, I don't know if that's the case. In the city's master planning process, it is required to have public input and public hearings about these types of things. If the city's approval of this plan is necessary, why haven't there been any public hearings and public input sessions like we had when the rezoning and the master plan was done 5 or 6 years ago? What have council members done in the last 3 days or in the last month when the president of the college presented up an overview of the plan at the last council meeting? What have council members done with their constituents to request public input and request input from their constituents? I know I haven't seen anything from precinct 3, but again, I may have missed something too. So, and then in a true public-private partnership, there should be more transparency, public input, and not a rush to approve something with a hastily called special meeting. I would urge the council to table this issue, pump the brakes on it, and perform the due diligence necessary and appropriate to fully vet and understand this project and all options for a new elementary school within the city. I'd also recommend that you all look at your relationships with the college and disclose any potential conflicts of interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Next is Sonia Brown.
Sonia,
Good
can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead. Floor is yours.
Thank you. Sonia Brown, 713 Orchard Drive. Council, I just want to express my support for the Washington Gardner site location for the elementary school building. What has sold me on this plan is that there are obvious issues at Harrington that nobody is publicly discussing, including the committee that was put together to do the needs assessment in the building. I have been watching and listening to the Marshall Board meetings and even those facilities assessment committee meetings. I am aware of 3 possible sites, and that is Washington Gardner, the Opportunity High School, and just recently Kroll as possibilities for a new building. So if there are other conversations happening or other sites, I am not aware of those, and nor is the public or the governing bodies of our community. So that's interesting. I also just want to get back on the issue of Harrington. There's an issue. We're not talking about that. Nobody's talking about that. And the partnership with the college will begin to address the inequities across the elementary school buildings in the district. And you know, if there's a problem when elementary school students are being bused out of Albion, not just to other surrounding districts, but Marshall is busing Albion students to other Marshall elementary schools. But no Marshall elementary school students are being bused into Albion. So if that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. And those are the conversations we need to be having. A nice shiny building is nice, but we need to address some serious inequities at Harrington, and the Washington Gardner plan in partnership with Albion College is the only plan I've seen or heard of that even addresses it. So I hope council approves this. I hope this is a unanimous decision. So good luck to you. Thank you for being on early on a Saturday morning. And please be thoughtful in thinking about our children who are the most impacted in this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. All right, so I guess we can go ahead and get into our items for discussion. In our packet, we did get the letter that Dr. J sent out with the vision. So I guess, you know, I'll go ahead and start my comments. So let me just start off by saying that I appreciate the amount of work that Dr. Johnson and his team at Albion College have gone through to put an initiative like this together that include many parts for the community. But as I read through Dr. Johnson's vision for the property adjacent to the junior high, I read many presumptions in the proposal. Given that Washington Gardner is owned by the college, there's nothing here that needs our approval or opinion. Since the city entered our contract with the YMCA in January, the college has been gracious enough to allow for activities to be held in the building, but there has been no commitment from the Y to permanently place itself there. Jill Hind, the CEO of the Y, has a board of directors that she reports to, and with her board, they have to make the decision if when, and where they will make as a permanent home. They are also taking in alternative locations for this possibility. The decision for a new elementary school needs to be made by the Marshall School Board. The decision first needs to be made as to whether or not the bond will get placed on the ballot for election. And then the board needs to hold community focus groups to get input from local parents with children and the community at large as to where they would like to see the new elementary school go. There is a process that needs to be followed here, and the school board itself is also looking at several locations. We are very fortunate to have a group of citizens that were willing to take on the senior housing initiative and to get it off the ground through hard work, time, and an enormous amount of conversations throughout the community. This group, again, is looking at several different options around our community, and they need to be allowed to make this decision in their own time and through their own means. If for some reason the YMCA board decides that this is not the best location for them, this gets removed from the equation. If for some reason the bond does not get approved for election, or if the school board decides that this is not the best location for all, this gets removed from the equation. If the senior housing committee decides that there is a better location, or if the property slated for this is not available, this gets removed from the equation. I believe that these entities need to be allowed to make their own decisions in their own time before the city decides to rubber stamp the approval of such a plan. We all know that even before Dr. Johnson arrived in Albion, the lingering sentiment in our community was that the college is trying to take over our town. This is no longer just a sentiment. This has recently become the topic of every conversation and almost every interaction that I have with community members. People are concerned. I believe that we as a council need to be very cautious as to what this will say to our constituents. I want to make sure that your vote represents the voices of your precinct and not just your own personal opinion. So those are my thoughts, and I will open it up to council. Yes, Councilmember Reed.
Thank you. Since I asked for this meeting, I would like to have something to say, and I can see that Councilmember Clark's on too. To start out with, I did not ask for this meeting to mandate to anyone what they have to do. I had this meeting because when I received the information about Dr. Johnson's plan for Albion, I read it over and I said, this is a mover, because nobody else that I know of have came here and tried to do anything for the total community of Albion. They have came and picked out their little bits and pieces, and they have done that, and the rest of you, to hell with you. Okay? Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to go through my thing here, and I'm going to read most of it off because this is 9 o'clock in the morning. And yes, I've been up since 6:30, but still I have not had my coffee. My thoughts, the vision of the future of Albion and the college and the city. I got this late because I got a new phone, having problems with hooking up stuff. Washington Gardner, I'm gonna start out there. I went to Washington Gardner as a student. I taught at Washington Gardner as a teacher, okay? It is one of Albion's historical monuments. I was there in that school when they decided to redo it all over again, and it was looking beautiful, and I think with a little more touch up, it's gonna be even better. I'm pleased to know that it's going to be used and not left, because so many people have come to Albion, wanted to use the building, left the building as is, no improvements whatsoever or anything about it, okay? And so now that it's a proposal to be used for so many things and not just sit there and deteriorate, because for so long it's just been locked up sitting there. Anything that's locked up and sitting will deteriorate, okay? Now, the African American Museum that is proposed to go in there, I think that's a great idea. We have a lot of African Americans from Albion that have went on to do great things. Nobody ever hears about them. Nobody ever, we've had kids in Albion that came out of school, honor roll students. Their picture should be somewhere. Something should be said about them. Nothing has been said about them. Nothing has been done at all. And for him to say, we want to do something to acknowledge the African American in Albion, just like we do other people, I think is really great. And we've got Dr. Curtis here. He's came back. You know, we hear his name, but nobody ever, there's really nothing there to show anything. Okay, Bob Howland, or there's quite a few more that has went from Albion to do great things. Nobody knows about it, and nobody tries to do anything about it. Healthy community. Everybody now is looking for a healthy community. Since we lost our hospital, who was run by somebody from Florida, and now here we are, no hospital. But I'm glad that Oakland stepped in and said we can help. But if we can get some extra help from the college on having a more vibrant, more healthy community, I think that's good. And that's been offered in the plan. All right, a vibrant community. I like the idea. When I was teaching, we used to take our kids, we used to raise our funds, and we would take our kids to Jackson Community College, to Battle Creek over there. They used to have children's plays. And we would raise the money and take our kids over to see live children's plays. And it was so nice. And now we can't do that. The schools doesn't have any money to do it. Nobody's really doing live children plays anymore. And if they are, they're not bringing them to Albion. They didn't then, so we got on a bus and we went to them. But our children should be exposed to more stuff like that, because even to now, I haven't since COVID, but I go to Detroit to see live plays because I think that's necessary. I think it's interesting. Okay. And so, you know, we haven't had a lot of anything coming here. And then I think Dr. Johnson, and this is not about Holland Park either. I want to get that straight. But I thank him for offering his help. Just like Mrs. Mitchell, before she even signed her contract, she allowed her help to be used. And he has done the same thing. So many people come to Albion and sit on their behinds. They come here to do what? To get out of Albion what they want, but not to put in Albion what Albion needs. And so people who come here to try to be supportive of the community is the type of people I want to support, not the one that's going to come here, get your paycheck, and pretty soon they're off on about their business. And that is even here in Albion. We as a people have not done that much to make our community even better. I'm just waiting for cleanup day to see how many people's gonna haul all that junk from around their house out there to throw away. The children. Now, that's my main thing. I love kids. Just like I said, I am a mother. I am a grandmother. I was a teacher. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a teacher. And the first teacher I wanted to be was a teacher of Indian children. I used to watch on television the movies. What's the guy that wears the black mask and everything? And in those movies, the Indians were always the ones that were misused. And I always said, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a teacher, and I'm gonna teach Indian children. But when I grew up, Indian children are mixed in with everybody else now. So therefore, I got the opportunity to teach all children. I went to Michigan State. Linda, go green and white, okay? And I was in the elementary intern program. And with the elementary intern program, the last year of your college education, you spent in the classroom. You had your own classroom. You were a teacher, but you had a supervisor, and that supervisor followed you daily, 4 days a week. Okay, he helped you with what you did right. He told you what you did wrong. He helped you to provide the things that you needed to do the different projects with your children that you were doing. And that was great. You had a mentor, and it was almost like having a parent. But the thing about it is, I learned from that that all parents cannot help children. Some children need extra help, and this is going to be offered, because if you've got a school, and I'm not trying to tell Marshall Public Schools where to put their school, put the school where they want to, because I was on the committee that went around and evaluated schools. And you guys talking about Harrington is not a good school? No, it isn't. It wasn't a good school when I was teaching there. Several of the teachers got cancer that was working in Harrington. I had tar running down the back of my room one day when they were doing the roof, because there was a hole in it. I had kids that went to the hospital because of that. They didn't stop school for the day. They just went ahead and did the roof, and the tar ran down into your room. Okay, so there's a whole lot of things about Harrington. It's built over a dump, and from time to time you could smell fumes and stuff like that from decay from the dump. So there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be done. Now, Harrington should have been moved a long time ago. Okay, but just like I said, I'm not here to mandate to Marshall Public School. What I am here to say is that and before I finish that, I want to go back to the kids, because our kids need just a little more attention than what they're getting. As a teacher, I made home visits because I had an at-risk classroom. I would go to the home and talk with the parent. I would take extra things for the parent to help the child with in problems that I saw the child having in the classroom. Sometimes those parents weren't able to help those children. Sometimes the parent was working. Sometimes there was only one parent in the home. And so that parent could not do everything that that child needed done for them in order to keep up or get ahead in school. With COVID, we're finding the same thing. A lot of kids don't access the information from the computer like they're working, like we're working today, where if they had somebody in house with them, they're touching them saying, "Good job, Johnny." They would do a much better job. If things are going to continue like this, it's going to be necessary that more be added to a child's situation to help them advance like they should. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm getting to is that, you know, help is being offered by Dr. Johnson. And I appreciate that. And it's been offered by him coming, talking to us, and by him putting it on paper. I can remember listening to a pastor on television that said, hold God responsible for what he tells you he will do. So when he says, the Bible tells us, the Lord said, I will heal you. Okay, if you're sick, fine. You say to him, okay, God, you said you would heal me. You're telling him what he said he would do. That is what Dr. Johnson has done. He has put his stuff on paper. We have it. So when he does not do what he said he could do, we will say to him, Dr. Johnson, but you said on page 3 of here and there that you would do this and that. Now, are you going to do it or aren't you? That holds a person's, as my moms used to say, foot to the fire. Okay, so there we go. Now, only thing I'm asking here is that we know that Dr. Johnson is going to Marshall Monday night for the board meeting. I'm not saying that we're supposed to instruct him what to, the board what to do. That's Marshall. Okay, but what I am saying is that we can say as our council, we have heard Dr. Johnson's presentation. We have read Dr. Johnson's presentation. And we would just like to say that we support Dr. Johnson's presentation and what he has offered to do in the city of Albion. And I don't think that's telling anybody what they better do. It's just offering help behind it. And to Mr. Pitt, I would very much like for those people who are behind the scene to come out of the closet and let us know what they're proposing. Because there's a whole lot of going on behind the scenes and getting everything set in place, and then coming out and saying, this is it. Thank you. And thank you for getting up this early in the morning and not wearing your pajamas.
Councilman Williamson.
Did you call, Mayor? Did you call on me?
Yes.
Good morning. Again, I thank Dr. Johnson for the work and thought that goes into creating the plan that the vision that he really presented to council at the last meeting, but also the letter that he sent out. I am concerned for a couple of reasons, and it's not necessarily the vision that's been placed before us, it's the expediency with which we're being asked to rubber stamp this vision. And Councilmember Reed just kind of played the hand on the table as to what the outcome of today is supposed to be. If City Council decides that we, as the body, approve of Dr. Johnson's plan or vision for the community, it means that on Monday night during a plan presentation from the college, that they will be able to say the City of Albion approves of where a school goes, of where a senior housing development goes. And there are independent boards, the Marshall Public School Board and the Senior Housing Commission, who have been working very hard for the past year on developing options to bring forward to the public. So I think it's a little premature for council to approve of a vision that those boards haven't approved. When it comes to a school, the voters of the Marshall Public School District in both Albion and Marshall are going to have to vote and decide if this is what they want. And I feel that it is not our place to step on the public school board's authority and bring forward those options to the community. I applaud the college's effort to provide options and develop a partnership with the public schools and all the work that they're doing. But I am concerned as a body at City Council that this isn't our decision to make. So I am not supportive of making a decision where as of today, simply because other boards, commissions, and places are going to have input. The last school board meeting I attended and listened in on, there are plans to reach out to the public and ask, where do you want a school? What do you want out of your school? And I think that with the public's ability to have that input, because look, the City Council said this is what they want now. So what does my opinion matter on this survey that the school board is going to give me when the city already spoke for me and said this is what we believe in? So I just think we're premature in rubber stamping this vision. I would rather just table this and wait until more people, more voices were allowed at the table and to have input in the plan. Again, thank you to the college for presenting this vision, but right now I cannot support saying that as a body, the City Council wants to move forward in this direction.
Ms. Snyder. Mayor.
Yes, Councilwoman Reed.
Okay. We're having problems even getting people back in the city hall to talk to. Every time we propose having people in, it's so, no, we can't have people in. So the city then needs to set up some Zoom meetings for people who want to do something. Because how are you going to meet with your people if you're not allowed to come together? And yes, I do plan. I'm just trying to wait until the weather changes, because right now nobody is going to come and sit outdoors in a park while you have a meeting with them and freeze to death. So just as soon as it warms up to where we can have meetings and can have them outdoors, I do plan on doing that. But right now, I'd like to let everybody know that this is the best plan we've been offered in a long time. In fact, I don't see where we've been offered a plan like this before. And I've lived in Albion for 73 years.
Councilwoman Lanu.
Thank you, Mayor Snyder. I have a lot to say, but I think that the point of this is engagement, which is something that's been lacking. And if I could just say that one of the most important quotes to my role in this place is that our power is not stripped of us so much as we give it away. So in this opportunity to have a plan presented to us, we are not approving anything. We're not rubber stamping anything. We're simply saying this is the first thing that has been brought to our attention, and we support the allocation of resources that has been conveyed to us. This is in no way the final stage, and I really appreciate Mr. Pitt's comment about the importance of public engagement, because I know that we have things like the city's comprehensive plan, which this plays into, that needs to be a priority, and I think should already have been underway in terms of the engagement, so people understand how a proposal such as this fits into it. So
Linda, I think you froze.
constraints. So I think that the importance of us working together and not exhausting ourselves by working alone is extremely important as well. And then I just also want to address this whole notion of the college taking over when we have very few resources in our community. And when you look at colleges that exist within communities, ours being a very small one, there is really no such thing as a college taking over. It can contribute in as many ways as it is possible to contribute. And with that, I just want to acknowledge again, our maintaining of our power is in our connection with the people and engaging. And then lastly, I just want to say, for full disclosure, because conflicts of interest have been mentioned, and I think that's very important in a small town where many hats are worn. I have applied for a position with the college, and I was actually not granted that position because of how much overlap it could have within the community. But I have recently begun working with Dr. Johnson in his role outside of Albion related to the Carnegie Foundation's elective classifications. And if anyone has any questions for me about my position, I'm happy to share more, but I just wanted to fully disclose that. And it does not relate to the city and very little actually to Albion College as well. So I just wanted to share that and be completely transparent.
What about Shane?
Councilwoman Lawler.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Councilman Clark had her hand up first.
Okay, I'll let her go first.
Okay, so first I would like to address the same statement that was made about relationships on the outside or forming relationships. I, as a council member, I am one that listens to everybody, even all council members. I don't form relationships. I'm very independent and I like my independence and I'm strong in it and I stay there in my independence. There's nothing wrong with listening to other people's opinions, options, proposals, or decisions that they're making before I formulate what I think is a positive structure that is moving forward for the city. I also understand that there are other proposals. I heard a statement being said that there's something that's been festering or been working on for a year. And for somebody to work on something for as long as a year and you not to have anything coming forward, that seems like a little unbelievable to me. There should be, if somebody has been in a committee that long and been talking about proposals and things that need to come forward, then maybe we should have seen something. And then we could have all looked at all of them at one time or another and made a decision which ones we thought were the best for the city. I would like to see, as Councilman Lanou said, I would like to see more of a cohesiveness and working together instead of the separateness that I'm hearing as far as the statements that have been made. I, for one, am tired of living in a community that have the have and the have-nots. And that's what it's been a part of for a long time. And
Yeah.
what I would like to see is people work together. I have not seen any proposals of any type of housing or anything that would happen in my district. And although the college is not in my district, one thing I can say, it will affect the children from my district, because they will be able to have an example of something that they can move forward in and be able to see a future outside of what they're currently seeing. I haven't heard any other kind of proposals of housing going into my area or anything like that. Myself, I'm working on that and have made myself very transparent to the city manager and to other people that I have spoken to about trying to get housing and businesses in my area, which I haven't heard too much of.
Yeah.
Another thing is speaking of independence, there is nothing wrong with the council coming forth today and deciding to let other people hear how the council currently stands and what they're thinking about before this public meeting on Monday, which has been mentioned. And from the emails that we got stating that this was going to happen. So I am wondering why some feel that it's such a opposition or causing such a problem for why we wanted to discuss this. I think we just wanted for people to hear from us and to understand where we're at. And if there's some other things, if there's other things going on, why hasn't that been brought forth to the council? Let's talk about real transparency.
Yes.
Any other comments? Councilman Lawler?
Thank you, Ms. Mayor. First of all, I just want to thank Dr. Johnson for the vision. It looks good, Dr. Johnson. I just want to let you know, because I do see that you are online, that I do have a sense that you really do care for our community, even though you just got here. I know that a lot of things are coming your way that you may have to tackle, or things may come your way that you can't tackle. But I thank you for trying to tackle bringing our kids home. I don't have any children or grandchildren in the Albion Marshall Public School District, but I do hear parents say a lot of stuff about the Harrington School, and they're not happy. I have talked to some in my precinct, some outside my precinct, that they do want a sense of something for themselves. So Dr. Johnson, thank you for the vision and the courage to try to help us get through this vision for our schools. I'm not sure if anyone, well, let me say this first. I heard something about engaging the public in on a few options, and that the school board, if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me, but the school board saying that they were going to get input about what should what parents would like to see. Parents have already done that the first time that we had this collaboration, and I don't think the parents feel like their voices was heard at the time. So I think they're ready to do something totally different than the road they had been forced to go with, as far as us doing the collaboration of schools. So with that being said, I have one more question. I hear a lot about the senior housing. What does the senior housing have to do with this new school? Because if somebody can help me with that, please. Thank you, Ms. Mayor.
Councilman Williamson.
Hi, I can add some clarity to the senior housing. The Senior Housing Commission was established in 2020. Marcola, Councilman Lawler, we actually had you on a meeting or two at the beginning of the process to talk about bringing senior housing to retirement housing to Albion. The Senior Housing Commission has been meeting. The senior housing directors have been working hard, having community conversations with the population of 60 and over residents to get feedback about what they want in their housing. They've been researching over 12 locations throughout the community where the senior housing can be put. And they've been working with developers, contractors, and the college as well has been a fantastic partner in this process. The reason I brought that up about, saying that this is kind of directing where senior housing going is it's saying we as a council think that the senior housing belongs in the plot of land that the college wants it on. And we're saying that we think the school needs to go on the plot of land that the college wants it to go on. And there are boards and commissions that are currently grappling with those decisions. And then just to add another, the layer around parents and what parents want in their schools. I mean, the school board is getting ready, or the school district is getting ready to do surveys of parents about where they want their school. And I just think we should give the voters of the community the opportunity to decide where they want their school, and give the commission the opportunity to do its work with the college and developers to find out where the best spot for senior housing is in our community before we, as a council, make that decision for them or force what we think should happen upon them. So I'm only standing in not favoring this particular situation because I feel more people need to be involved. I think there are other boards and commissions that are going to be bullied by this decision, and I just want to give them the opportunity to do their work. And I am a Marshall Public Schools parent. Both of my kids attend Marshall Public Schools, and I would like to have input on where my school goes, and I would not like the city council to make that decision for me. So thank you, I yield.
Councilwoman Reed.
I don't think we're asking to have that decision made. We're just saying that information that we have received as a proposal, we support. And then too, I think that committee about senior housing and stuff needs to be opened up to where more people know about it. Maybe they can come to council and tell us about what they're doing. And maybe we can find out how many people of color are on that committee, how many Latinos are on that committee, because they're going to also be looking for senior housing here pretty soon.
So hold on. So Mayor Pro Tem Jackson, you had your hand up next.
Yes, so we're talking about transparency. So I'd like to ask the council a question, and I pray that you guys do answer it honestly. So mayor and council, have you guys done any work on the outside with anybody else? I mean, because we keep hearing about different plans, that there are other plans going up, and we do not know anything that what you guys are saying. Yeah. I continue to hear my council members tell me that when they heard about this plan or this letter came, that some people inside the city hall told them to hold off. And like they said, I was hoping that this was not a meeting to approve anything, but for us to discuss all types of options. So the community, as Thomas Pitts, if he knows something more than we know, that we will know about these things, and we can go out into our district and allow them to know, to our precincts, and allow them to know what is really truly going on. Now, right now at this time, we have many things that are going on, and we're talking about, we are talking about, as you guys said, the senior housing. I do believe that that should come out in the open, because with Councilman Williamson on that board or whatever he's saying, there's a lot of stuff that is keeping secret and has not come out. Also, I do believe that we all do stand on our own as council members independently, where you can voice your opinion of what you would like to see happen. But I do agree that maybe no, we should not come together and try to tell the city per se right now where they should go. Yes, Thomas Pitts, we should have had some talking about this when it first came out. What could we do as a city council as a whole to help our community make some of these decisions, getting into everything. But there is still somewhere here where we're not cohesive, we're not coming together, because there's other things that's on the outside that no one is bringing to the forefront, but we want to wait till Monday to hear what they have to say, when I'm quite sure we should have been listening through in to make sure. Now, what I've heard and do know of is that MPS has made, some type of proposal. And the other thing is Dr. Johnson has made something. And as one has said, Sonia, something about Kroll, I do know that. And then I've heard that there's something else brewing up that I don't know much about. I mean, I can say, well, I heard this or heard that, but I'm not going to do that. And saying that I would keep everything in confidential. But I just believe that as a whole today, that we need to come clean about anything that is yet going on that we do not know about, so that we can come together today as a body and start to go fresh to help the community resolve and add good decisions to whatever is coming up on Monday.
Councilman Williamson had his hand up.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, so I have already been asked this question several times over the last 24 hours. I serve at the pleasure of the Board of Trustees for the Albion Community Foundation, and I am incredibly proud to serve for that organization. There has been a small group of people working on a project that is not a building, it is not a school, it is not anything related to the school or Dr. Johnson's vision. The foundation itself has had a donor approach it to try to make a gift to the foundation for the community, and we have all been served with non-disclosure agreements because the donor would like to remain confidential. The gift in no way has any impact on this vision. And if a donor were to make a gift to anywhere, we would have to, like if I wanted to put a pool at, if I wanted to put a pool in the park somewhere, I would need to come to city council and say, hey, I have money to pull a pool in the park. Do you want a pool in the park? Then that's what we would do. But we're following a normal process. There's no hidden agenda here. I'm, again, very supportive of the vision being brought to council about bringing the college and the community together. My opposition stands firm on the voters having to decide where a school goes, and the fact that there is a very open and transparent senior housing commission working on the senior housing project. They came to council in February. All of their information is online on the Albion Community Foundation website. In fact, all of their Zoom meetings should be posted within the next few days. There is nothing secretive happening with that group, and in fact, that it's a very diverse group of some of the Albion's best elders. So proud to even be affiliated with. I actually don't even run that. The foundation received the grant, and two wonderful ladies, Marcia Starkey and Linda Colmaden, are leading that effort with citizens in the community. So I guess I felt the need to say that. I shouldn't have had to say it, but I do. I know that because of a couple of people that have been involved, there are people who have thought that there's something nefarious happening here, and there isn't. The foundation is working with a donor, and we will, when we know what this person or people want to do, if it involves anything with the city, the schools, or the college, or anything like that, that you all will be the first to know. And this would not be done outside the bounds of community input. We do not at the foundation want to do anything to override what the community wants. So I just wanted to make that clear and to really preserve the integrity of that process with you all. So again, I'm happy to keep continuing to consider this vision. I again think it's premature to approve it right now. And I would encourage the Marshall School Board and the other boards and commissions to continue doing their work. And we can talk about this again at a later date. Thank you.
Our city attorney would like to say a few words.
Good morning, council. It's a pleasure to see everyone again. I just wanted to briefly make sure that I mentioned that the items for discussion today they have to stay limited to what's on the agenda. So it seems that we're getting a little bit attenuated as far as what our conversation should be focused on. So I just wanted to make sure that in order to stay in compliance with the sunshine laws, specifically the Open Meetings Act, that we only discuss the item on the agenda, which is approval for support of the President Johnson's vision. So I just wanted to briefly mention that to make sure that we're staying in compliance. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem Jackson.
Okay, thank you so much, City Attorney, for that information. That's when we jumped off to this and that, and I was like, whoa, okay. But anyway, I'm just gonna ask Shane, since you brought that up, and it does have something to pertain to basically what you're saying is, so does the plan that you're talking about, does it have anything to do with the MPS, the plans, or the any kind of relocation?
No, there's no formal arrangement of any plan with MPS or with the college or with the senior housing committee or anything like that. And that's not at all the plan. If you're insinuating that there's no permanent, like, this is where something will go because that's where the donor wants it at all. There's been conversations. I can't talk about this because I have not.
Sorry. I mean, I guess I'm a bit specific, and then you can just say yes or no, okay? Because we keep hearing you tell us that we should hold off because we should not be making any plans of telling anybody yes, that there should be other stuff. So I'm just taking it that there's something else. So would the secret plans that you're talking about affect the location of the school or the location of the YMCA that you're talking about?
No, nothing at the foundation is going to dictate the location of any school, any YMCA, any senior housing. Nothing.
Will this plan move the YMCA?
Listen, the YMCA isn't at Washington Gardner, and it's not at the Opportunity High School, and it's not at the Double Vision Center. It's not anywhere right now. There is not a YMCA in Albion. There's a YMCA contract, but there is not a YMCA. Dr. Johnson will tell you that he does not have a YMCA. He has a vision for a YMCA at Washington Gardner, which is a beautiful vision. That's what exists. There is no plans to move or relocate any entity with any donor because that's really not allowed anyway.
So folks, we also got to remember we need to stay focused on what is on the agenda. So Councilman Reed.
That is what we want to do, is take a vote on, are we supportive of Dr. Johnson's agenda that he has put out? And just one thing I'd like to know with Shane, does he vote on any of this stuff with the Community Foundation? Shane?
Yeah.
Do you vote on any of the stuff with the Community Foundation?
I'm not a voting member on the Senior Housing Commission. I'm not on the school board. I'm not on the college board of trustees. I have no financial affiliation with those three entities.
But do you vote?
She said the Community Foundation.
I get paid by, like I said, I get paid to serve at the Community Foundation, but this vision has nothing to do with the Community Foundation other than the senior housing piece.
I guess she's asking Shane if you are a voting member.
Voting member of what?
The Community Foundation.
I'm an executive director of the Community Foundation. I'm not on the board of trustees.
So you're not a voting member?
I do
Answer
not vote.
yes or no.
I don't vote. Okay. I don't vote on anything at the foundation. I'm not allowed to vote on anything at the foundation. I don't vote on grants. There's a separate committee that votes on grants, and there's a board of trustees that votes on the grants for the final approval. I don't do any of the voting.
Councilmember Clark, did you have comments?
Yes, I did. One thing I would like to ask all council members, and as you also mayor, have we done any kind of work or anything else to get opinions, or because you keep making the statement that we're not doing. So I'm going to speak for myself first. So I have been out in the community and I have talked to people. The only thing that I heard, like I said before, the only thing I heard most of my people say is the location. And it's very prevalent to me that nothing's going to go into my location. Okay, so, but other than that, they weren't concerned. So my question is, has any of us did any kind of work with anyone else and any other options? And if so, why haven't we shown that? And another thing is, as far as, so I heard Councilman Williamson say that the proposals or whatever they've been working with the committee has not formulated or came up with any type of sort of plan of where anything is going. It's more just in the legwork, which is, that's fine. I would just like to see if there's something else going on, because one thing I've learned since I've been on council, there's a lot of things that are said and a lot of things that are questioned, or a lot of things that are put on the table or suspended or whatever, and then we don't seem to move forward and the ball gets dropped. And I'm ready to see the city move forward. That is why I'm supporting Dr. Johnson and what he's put forward, because I've asked for if there's anything else and where it was at, and I haven't saw anything yet. So what that means to me is there's a such thing as giving the people vision, or waiting and creating the vision all at once. So that's all I'm asking for. If we're gonna do something, or if there's something else that needs to be done, then we need to create a vision for folks to be able to see that. And I would like to ask if we can move to vote from this point on.
Councilwoman Lanu?
Thank you, Mayor Snyder. I do agree that I think that we are probably ready for a vote, but I certainly have a comment myself, and I just wanted to make sure we're all leaving here feeling good. I heard things I heard the word bully, I heard the word forced, I heard the word dictate. I don't think that there's any way that could even be possible. And I don't like to think that people think that could be possible, because we are representing people, and you can't move forward until you really have an understanding of what you're working with and representing. So we're not moving forward. We're saying a formal plan has been proposed to us that touches on a lot of things, and we appreciate having that, and we're expressing support of that. We are in no way condoning action right now. If the action is anything, it is the continuation of speaking to people. And I think that is what we're all calling for today. I personally look forward to even just getting some, surveys and basic stuff out, so we can really start to listen to people and stop waiting for whatever we're waiting for, whether it's COVID, et cetera. And then, I just want to be very clear that I am in no way condoning something that we have not engaged people on, or supporting something that has not already been brought, which we received a presentation last time. And this has been presented to Marshall Public Schools in their work related to their bond proposal. So there has been some groundwork laid, but this is just the basic level of support to say we recognize that public engagement is needed for anything that's going to be, breaking ground or building or whatever the case may be. And this meeting was the attempt to continue in that vein. So I just wanted to be clear about all of that.
Councilwoman Clark?
So I brought a question, could we move to vote? And I think that's where we're at as far as the structure of the meeting.
I second that.
Okay, so, Councilwoman Lanu, so you did bring up the fact that you were working, I guess, with the college for a foundation, correct?
I am working with Dr. Johnson, who is the director for the Carnegie elective classification.
Point of order. You don't have to answer that. I'm calling a point of order. It's been moved to vote. So the motion should be going forward on the floor. There shouldn't be any more questions.
No, I we just need to verify because again, with the
No,
conflict
no,
of
point of
interest.
order, point of order. I'm calling point of order. We need to move to vote.
If there is any financial ramifications for Councilwoman Lanu, that does need to be disclosed before we vote.
That's not for Albion, though, is it?
There is no connection to my work at the college to the city of Albion. And I just also want to be clear, Dr. Johnson and I have disagreed on things even in this short amount of time that I.
Attorney, excuse me. Attorney, would you please speak on this matter right here? I've called a point of order. The question is still being asked, and we should be moving into the next phase. That we should not be trying to go do with the direction of a financial benefit at this time.
Right. I would agree that the motion has been made. It has been put on the floor. It has been seconded. So if council does not want to vote on it now, then I think the motion would die. But I do agree that at this point, the motion would have to be voted on just because it's been moved, seconded.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so
I apologize. Just to clarify, speaking to Councilmember Lanu's conflict of interest that has been raised, pursuant to the Albion's ordinances and charters, there is the ethical obligation that Councilmember Lanu was required to follow in section section 1-28, where she's required to fully disclose any relationship. She has done that.
Yes, correct.
As far as any sort of ability to vote now, it comes down to whether a question like if you look at section 5.6, meeting of councils pursuant to the Albion Charter, the question is really whether it's a substantial direct or indirect financial interest. So in voting, the council will have to determine whether or not they deem that substantial enough. But for purposes of the motion that was on the floor and seconded, I think the council is now obligated to vote on the current motion.
City Clerk Domingo, if you want to take a vote.
Councilmember Clark,
First, state
Yes.
what was
Yes.
first, can you state what we're voting on?
That's what I was gonna say also. Not for a plan, we are.
So Councilmember Clark brought the vote to floor so she can state what we're voting on.
So I don't have the I don't have the agenda in front of me, so I don't know what's on the agenda, you guys,
We're
as
voting.
far as what we're saying. So Councilman,
Ms. Reed.
we're voting on the
Gonna have one
the
of us read
question.
it first.
Yes,
It is
yes,
the
yes.
approval to
Yes.
support, the approval to support
Got
President Johnson's approach to public-private partnership outlined in a recent letter, which is available on our city's website, that is titled A Vision for the Future of Albion, the College, and the City.
Yes.
Which again is preliminary.
And what I was talking about was the moving to cause the question. I asked the question too. You're voting to call the question and to end the discussion. That's what I'm saying.
City Clerk Domingo, you can take the vote or roll call vote.
And then we can vote.
so currently you're voting to call the question and end discussion.
Yes.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Lanu,
Yes.
Williamson,
No.
I'm sorry, no.
No. No.
And Mayor Snyder.
No. So is there another action that needs to be made?
Now we can go to the main vote.
And we need a moved and a support for that.
Yes.
I move to go to the main vote.
Support.
City Clerk Domingo, you can take a roll call vote.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
Lanu,
Yes.
Williamson,
No.
Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Snyder.
No. So do we have any items for future agenda?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lanu?
I would ask that we begin planning public engagement for the update of our comprehensive plan. And in as much as our 5-year recreation plan is concerned in terms of that public engagement and joining efforts or wherever that is appropriate, I would also encourage that to be, if it is possible, for that to be part of the discussion and planning as well.
It can be in Mayor for May. Those, each process has begun. At the last planning commission meeting, they have begun that process, that the comprehensive plan update goes through that board. So they have been, as well as Mark Lely, who serves on the Recreation Advisory Commission. They are in the process of getting the engagement process going. So there is work going on with the updates of both of those plans.
Yes, Councilwoman Lanu?
Thank you, City Manager Snyder. With concern for this moment in time, everything that's happening, where council members can collaborate in the beginning stages and be as open as possible, I would just request that that be a priority. Yes. And be brought to us in terms of updates and how we can be collaborating.
Absolutely. I know there council members do serve on each of the other boards, so they are that input as well. But yes, that is a priority of the city as well to get those plans updated.
Councilwoman Reed?
I sent in an application for the Parks and Recreation. I have not heard anything. When do you think I would be hearing?
That'll be going on the next council agenda.
Thank you.
Any other agenda items? Okay, and do we have any public comments?
One from Garrett Brown.
Go ahead, Garrett.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, floor is yours.
Okay, Garrett Brown, 1016 South Superior. I want to thank the council for a 2/3 majority supporting the vision of Dr. Johnson and the college. I think that is what we need. And now we can really move forward with making Albion what I think will be a standout in the state of Michigan for public education. So I'm going to have some other comments. So when we do politics badly, which today you all have not done, we jeopardize the future of our children in our city. And leadership means seeing issues and getting in front of them to find solutions. And I think that's what you all are doing today. It's not overstepping your power. Each of you represent 1/6 of our citizenry and the mayor of the entire city. So that's what you're supposed to be doing. Regarding the college, there were some comments about the college takeover. That's not what's going on here. Historically, Albion College really has been a center of white supremacy, right? And there's been no consideration for the needs and well-being of the least of these or Black or brown people. I was in a meeting with introducing parents and students of the college a couple of years ago, and the former president, when asked about some of the racial tension and harassment on campus, said there's good people on both sides. And I think that Dr. Johnson represents a complete change from that attitude. He's seeking to push belonging and create a culture where first generation college students, people of color, are not just tolerated, but they're empowered, and feel like they belong on campus. And I think that that's something that the city needs to embrace, as well as Marshall Public Schools. And so what that means is when he's pursuing that, that means that the people who have been in privilege, stakeholders in this community, developers, whatever, when they've been able to make decisions outside of public scrutiny and without the inclusion of these people in our community, they see that going away. And what I hear today is Councilmember Williamson, to a certain extent, standing up for that old school way of doing things. And that's disgusting to me. Last few comments. I'm holding in my hand a piece of campaign lit from our current mayor. And one of the things on the bullets says that she wants to be an advocate, a voice for the underrepresented and marginalized in our community. And your no vote today shows that that is not what you're doing. There needs to be some serious reconsideration about that. As far as the city attorney goes, there's been a lot of comment in the meeting about backdoor conversations. And I know that the relationship with the attorney is governed by attorney-client privilege, but I would love to know if there was any coordination between the two no votes on the board today and the attorney about whether or not what could be said and to kind of stifle communication. Because having been on the council, I know there are times when there are attempts to kind of sway the council's deliberation by these kind of side points of order that really should have been mentioned before the meeting. So if there's a question about Dr. Johnson's plan actually mentions the letter, mentions the things that are possible around that new school. So the discussion of that shouldn't be, that is germane to the plan. So I want to again thank each of the 5 council members who voted yes for your courage and leadership. And I think the community needs to get a hard look at our mayor and Councilor Williamson and see what their values are in this moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Jesse?
Marcia Stark. Marcia, did you still want to talk? I saw that your hand was lowered now. Sonia Brown now?
Hi, Sonia Brown, 713 Orchard Drive. I want to take a minute to thank council for your hard work, your difficult conversation, and your deep consideration for doing what's best for Albion's children and Albion as a community. It is hard to encourage people to move into a community under the current school structure that we have right now. Harrington and the Opportunity School, both are severely lacking in resources. And I'm not talking just about the physical buildings. This is definitely a hopeful step in the right direction. And as city leaders, I appreciate you all taking a stand and letting it be known publicly where you are right now. Ultimately, the voters will decide on the bond if Marshall decides to proceed with the bond proposal in November. So thank you all. And we really need to figure out how to work collectively and effectively. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. And then Jesse, were we going to try to get Marcia on?
Yep, Marcia coming through next.
Marcia, can you hear us?
She muted.
Okay, here we are. Hi, Marcia Starkey, 419 Allen Place. I would just like to point out a couple things about the Senior Housing Commission. Earlier this week, late last week, my co-director Linda Colmaden sent out an email to all city council members offering them up both a version of a community conversation when someone doesn't have the ability or isn't comfortable on Zoom, and also to send us names or emails, phone numbers of people who would like to be in a community conversation. I think we've been very transparent. This is the beginning of a process. We have the money from the Calhoun County Senior Millage. There are rules to this grant, the commission being one of them. We have a link on the Albion Community Foundation website. We have had articles in the Marshall paper, in the Albion paper, and the Albion e-news. We are very open and very public and very transparent. So if any of you guys have anything you want to talk to us about, and as was mentioned earlier, we had a conversation with Councilmember Lauer before. So we're here. We want to hear from everybody. So I just wanted to make that offer today. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Jesse, do we have anybody else?
Seeing no others at this time.
Okay. City Manager Snyder, do you have anything to report on?
I don't have a report, just a few comments. In no way opposed to the vision that was presented by Dr. Johnson. I actually very supportive of it. I think it would be a great thing for the community. However, I do look forward to having more one-on-ones with Dr. Johnson. At this time, that has not been happening. I think if it's a priority of the city, then both chief administrative officers need to be working directly together.
Any other council member comments? Councilwoman Lanu?
Thank you, Mayor Snyder. I guess I just want to respond briefly to that and just say phone calls are really important at this time. I know it's really hard to, everybody's juggling a lot, but you know, just being able to call people, I think goes a long way in terms of making those connections. So just a big advocate for that. I also just, you know, I keep hearing in my mind, you know, this quote, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." And I just really want to iterate the importance of all of us being able to come together in our own
In America, the future.
Oh, wow,
belongs
that's
to
bad.
everyone.
Sorry, that was not supposed to happen. Come together in our own cohort, because otherwise when we're coming out to the community, it is confusing, and that is the continuation of this house being divided and unable to stand. And so I just really want to nail that in. Thank you.
Councilwoman Reed?
This is one of, can you hear me? Because I'm, okay, here I go. This is one of the reasons why I have been saying the whole time that as soon as we can, we need to start having town hall meetings. That is the best way to inform people as to what's going on, what's happening. And when Dr. Mitchell was here, we had one about every 3 months in a different council precinct. And that gave people the opportunity to not only listen to what we're doing, but to give their input on what they would like to hear or like to know. I'm not going knocking on people's doors. I have done that. For the first 2 years on council, I have had council meetings, and sometimes I would get 5 people, sometimes 10, you know, and just like I said, as soon as this weather breaks, I'm going to take it to the park because people will come. We used to have Friday evening music in the park, and that was a good time to get out any information that you wanted to the people who came, because they would come to that. But I think that we as a council, even though there's COVID and you have to understand that, you have to understand the social distancing and the wearing the mask and the stuff like that, I don't really think that we've had an opportunity to really involve people in what we're doing. And I've heard other people say, well, it seems like that if you have council meetings, if somebody wanted to say something, they could come look at you while they're saying it and go on out the door when they're finished. And I said, I agree with you, you know, but I realize that there's certain things that we can and cannot do. But as soon as it gets to a point to where we can start involving the community, we need to do that because their input is very important.
Any other comments? Councilwoman Lanu?
Thank you for letting me come back. I need to say that the provision of basic needs in our community is what I have continually heard throughout all of the engagement that I've been facilitating. Sidewalks, tree removal, our streets, making sure our water is clean, access to healthy, fresh food, attracting employers so we have more jobs. And I think that until the public sees that that is what we are planning and strategizing for, they're going to continually feel like they're not being heard because they've already voiced all of that to us. So I just really want to make sure that people know that it has been heard and that we are going to do the continuation of that through the comprehensive plan update. But I also just want to see more action happening and updates on that so people can be encouraged and we can build momentum. Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes, I'm sleepy.
New,
Yes.
Yes. All right, so I will call the meeting to close 10:25 a.m. Thank you all.